Merry Christmas, everyone. Christmas, the season of joy, peace, and goodwill. Or so we thought. Beneath the twinkling lights and festive cheer lies a chilling history of dark events that shattered the holiday spirit. From disasters to tragedies, these are the unsettling stories that prove not all is calm and not all is bright. Prepare to see the darker side of Christmas. Starting off this list in our number 10 spot, we have Nicolae and Elena Ceaușescu. Blood on the snow and a world watching in stunned disbelief. Romania's brutal era under Nicolae and Elena closed its final chapter on Christmas Day, 1989. Decades of communist tyranny had pushed everyday Romanians past the boiling point, and after the couple's sudden capture, a makeshift trial delivered a guilty verdict within hours. Critics argued that justice and due process took a back seat to raw vengeance, but there was no turning back. By sundown on December 25th, the pair who once wielded absolute power over a terrified nation lay dead, their reign ended on a day typically reserved for warmth and compassion. In a country where secret police had once spied on citizens, people were now opening gifts to the news that the dictatorship had collapsed. The holiday season would forever be tainted by the memory of that grisly firing squad, marking one of history's strangest and darkest Christmas moments. In our number 9 spot today, we have the Christmas flood of 1717. Walls of freezing seawater slammed into quiet coastal towns along the North Sea just as families tried to celebrate the holiday indoors, their homes lit with flickering candles rather than warning beacons. December 24th and 25th, 1717 brought a night unlike any other in Europe's history. As brutal winds whipped the waves higher and higher until villages were swallowed whole and farmland disappeared beneath the icy depths. In the Netherlands, Germany, and Scandinavia, some 14,000 people lost their lives, making it one of the continent's worst natural disasters. Instead of laughter and carols, screams filled the darkness, and Christmas morning arrived to scenes of unimaginable destruction. Frozen bodies lay scattered where kitchens and chapels once stood, and entire communities were left counting who was gone, who was still breathing, and how to rebuild when the season that promised hope had delivered a nightmare. In our number 8 spot today, we have the Tangiwai disaster in New Zealand. Nobody aboard the overnight express racing through the darkness on Christmas Eve 1953 had any idea that molten sludge was rushing down from the mountain slopes, quietly turning a sturdy railway bridge into a death trap. Just minutes before midnight, wheels clattered over weakening timbers, and then the train plunged straight into the flooded river as the supports finally gave way. The crash tore open carriages, flinging people and luggage into a chaotic swirl of water, debris, and shrieking steel. With 151 lives lost, this disaster remains New Zealand's worst rail catastrophe, forever scarring a nation that struggled to understand how a night meant for holiday cheer could twist into such a wrenching nightmare of loss and sorrow. In our number 7 spot today, we have the Bam earthquake in Iran. Less than a day after Christmas light dimmed in other corners of the world, the ancient city of Bam in southeastern Iran was shattered by a fierce quake that tore through history itself. Early on December 26, 2003, a magnitude 6.6 earthquake unleashed its fury, flattening most of the city's mud brick houses and reducing the famous 2,000-year-old citadel to rubble. More than 26,000 lives were lost in a matter of seconds as entire families were buried beneath collapsing walls, and desperate survivors dug through dusty ruins with bare hands. In the wake of the chaos, centuries of cultural legacy and the soul of a once thriving community lay broken on the ground, transforming what should have been a quiet day after Christmas into one of the most devastating natural disasters in Iranian history. In our number 6 spot today, we have the Indian Ocean tsunami. Whole villages vanished beneath walls of water that roared in with almost no warning just one day after Christmas in 2004, leaving entire coastlines shaken to their core. A staggering 9.1 magnitude earthquake off the coast of Sumatra unleashed a tsunami so immense it reached shores as far away as East Africa. In less time than it takes to unwrap holiday gifts, waves taller than palm trees slammed into beaches and tore through bustling resorts. 14 countries were hit, Indonesia, Thailand, Sri Lanka, and India among them, where families celebrating a quiet holiday morning suddenly found themselves scrambling for high ground, clinging to rooftops and trees. In the disaster's wake, over 230,000 people were lost beneath piles of splintered wood, shattered concrete, and twisted fishing nets. Coastlines were redrawn, fragile communities were ripped apart, and the global heartbreak echoed for years as survivors, stunned and shaken, tried to rebuild shattered homes and piece together the life that existed before the waters came rushing in. In our number 5 spot today, we have 2011 Nigeria on Christmas Day. Cafes had barely opened their doors and congregations were gathering under wooden rafters to sing carols when sudden explosions ripped through the holiday calm on December 25th, 2011. In several Nigerian cities, among them the nation's capital, churches and public squares turned into clouds of dust, broken glass, and screams. Boko Haram's claims of responsibility hit as hard as the blasts themselves, tainting a day meant for peace and unity with terror and confusion. At least 37 people lost their lives, while many more were left wounded, searching desperately for missing loved ones in the haze of sirens and smoke. The attacks proved that even sacred spaces and cherished traditions could be twisted into nightmares. Families struggled to comfort each other through the ringing in their ears and the disbelief that anyone could commit such an evil act on a morning meant for hope and goodwill. In our number 4 spot today, we have the Battle of the Bulge. Snow blew sideways through the dense Ardennes forest as the sound of battle rattled through the silent pines, making it painfully clear that Christmas 1944 would be anything but peaceful. German forces had caught the Allies off guard, pushing deep into a front they thought was secure and trapping exhausted American troops who were low on supplies and sleep. Soldiers who'd hoped for a quiet holiday huddled in frigid foxholes, bullets snapping overhead, and artillery shells hammering the landscape into splinters. The fighting was so fierce that many didn't even know where the front lines started or ended, and the chaos continued well past that day that should have been filled with warmth and goodwill. When it was all over, the Battle of the Bulge would go down as one of World War II's bloodiest American engagements, a Christmas memory stained red and forever etched into the minds of those who survived. In our number 3 spot today, we have the goat burnings in Sweden. A giant straw goat bursting into flames may not be the first thing that comes to mind when thinking of holiday cheer, but in some places in Sweden, it's practically part of the Christmas story. Since 1966, the town has built a colossal Yule goat, crafted from straw and set proudly in the town square. Yet, year after year, mysterious vandals slip through the snowy darkness, tossing matches or fireworks to ignite the poor creature until it crackles and collapses in a fiery heap. As of December 2023, 42 out of the 58 goats have met this grim fate, including some just before or on Christmas Day. Locals try to protect it with fences, guards, and even flame-resistant sprays, but determined arsonists always seem to find a way. In a season meant for warmth and goodwill, this towering symbol of holiday fun has instead become a strange, ongoing battle between tradition and destruction. In our number 2 spot today, we have the Covina Event. A killer Santa Claus strolling up the driveway was the last thing anyone expected on a night of eggnog and carols, but on Christmas Eve 2008, the holiday spirit in Covina, California took a horrifying turn. Bruce Jeffrey Pardo, bitter and bent on revenge, burst into his ex-in-law's celebration armed. Within minutes, cheerful chatter became screams as he unleashed a shocking plan that claimed 9 lives and left the home ablaze. Neighbors, who only moments before were admiring holiday lights, stumbled into chaos as flames leapt from windows and terrified survivors scrambled to safety. The Covina massacre remains an unsettling reminder that even a night meant for laughter and warmth can be shattered by a single twisted act. And finally, to end off our list today, we are talking about the dissolution of the Soviet Union. A single date tore apart the very fabric of everyday life for millions, as December 25th, 1991 marked the end of the Soviet Union and the sudden downfall of a once mighty superpower. Instead of holiday cheer, people across the former Soviet states found themselves watching as Mikhail Gorbachev stepped down, turning the Kremlin's bright red banners into relics overnight. Decades of communist rule, iron-fisted policies, and tightly controlled economies crumbled, leaving behind a maze face of uncertain futures. New flags would soon be raised and new leaders would step forward, but the transition brought more questions than answers. Tensions flared, grocery shelves went bare, and entire communities struggled to make sense of rules and currencies that changed too quickly to keep up. On a day that is usually tied to comfort and tradition, vast regions of Eastern Europe and Central Asia were instead flooded with anxiety, heartbreak, and the chill of an unknown tomorrow.